Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim and in today's video we're going to learn about the differences between Hyvä, Hyvää and Hyvin. For this video I decided to start with Hyvin since it's easy and quick to explain. This video is split into 4 parts. In chapter 1 we'll focus on Hyvin, both as an adverb meaning well and in its other meaning very. In chapter 2 then we'll take a look at Hyvä in its most common case forms, which are Hyvän, genitive case, Hyvää, partitive case, Hyvään, illative case, Hyvässä, inessive case, Hyvästä, elative case, Hyvällä, allative case, Hyvällä, adjective case, Hyvältä, ablative case, and Hyvät, which is the plural nominative. So, to get a better understanding of these case forms, we are going to use all of them in our examples. And in chapter 3 then, we'll talk about when to answer with Hyvä or Hyvin in those classic how are you questions. Finally, in our last chapter, we'll practice what we've learned today by solving some exercises together. So, let's start with our first one, Hyvin. Hyvin is an adverb and it means well or very. For now, let's focus on some examples where Hyvin means well. Here's our first one. Minun kissani nukkuu yleensä tosi hyvin means my cat usually sleeps very well. So here in this example, we use hyvin in order to describe how the cat is sleeping. Let's go step by step. Minun kissani means my cat. Minun is the genitive case of minä, which means I. Kissani is a combination of kissa, which means cat, plus ni, which is the possessive suffix for the first person singular. Nukkuu is the third person singular present tense of nukkua, which means to sleep, and yleensä means usually. Tosi means really or very, and hyvin again is our adverb, which we use here in order to describe how the cat is sleeping. So let's repeat again. Minun kissani nukkuu yleensä tosi hyvin. My cat usually sleeps very well. Next one. Asun Ruotsissa ja viihdyn täällä hyvin means I live in Sweden and I feel good here. Or we can also translate it as and I like it here. Let's go step by step. Asun is the first person singular present tense of asua, which means to live somewhere. Ruotsissa is the inessive case of Ruotsi, which means Sweden. Ja means and. Viihdyn is the first person singular present tense of viihtyä, which can be understood as to enjoy oneself, to get on or get along. So when we say viihdyn, then we can translate it as I enjoy myself or I feel comfortable in the sense of I like it. Then we have täällä, which means here, like right in this place. I'm now in Sweden, so that's why I say täällä. Then we have hyvin here, which is our adverb, showing that I'm feeling good here. Let's repeat again. Asun Ruotsissa ja viihdyn täällä hyvin. I live in Sweden and I feel good here. Next one. Osaan puhua koreaa melko hyvin. In English it means I can speak Korean fairly well. Let's go step by step. Osaan puhua means I can speak. So osaan is the first person singular present tense of osata, which means can in the sense of knowing how to. And puhua here is our verb in its infinitive form. Here we have the typical osata plus infinitive verb structure. Then we have korea here standing in the partitive case. Why? Because of the verb puhua. And then we have melko hyvin, which means fairly well. So here we use hyvin as our adverb in order to describe how I speak Korean. Let's repeat again. Osaan puhua koreaa melko hyvin. I can speak Korean fairly well. Now let's focus on hyvin, where its meaning is very. For example, minusta tämä asia on hyvin tärkeä means, in my opinion, this matter is very important. So let's go step by step. Minusta means, in my opinion. Tämä asia means this matter, this think. On means is. It's the third person singular present tense of the verb olla, which means to be. Hyvin here means very, and tärkeä means important. So as you see here, the meaning of hyvin in this sentence is very. Let's repeat again. Minusta tämä asia on hyvin tärkeä. In my opinion, this matter is very important. Next one. Jussi alkoi opiskella japania, joka on hyvin kaunis kieli. Means Jussi started studying Japanese, which is a very beautiful language. Let's go step by step. Jussi alkoi opiskella means Jussi started studying. So alkoi means he started. It's the third person singular past tense of the verb alka, which means to start. And opiskella here means to study, standing here in its infinitive form. So here we have the alka plus infinitive verb structure. Then we have Japania, which means Japanese, standing here in the partitive case. Joka means which, here it refers to the Japanese language. On means is. Hyvin here means very. Kaunis means beautiful. And kieli means language. So here in this sentence we use hyvin in order to express how beautiful the Japanese language is. In other words, it's very beautiful. So let's repeat again. Jussi alkoi opiskella japania, joka on hyvin kaunis kieli. Jussi started studying Japanese, which is a very beautiful language. One more. Tämä lintu on Suomessa hyvin harvinainen. Means this bird is very rare in Finland. Let's go step by step. Tämä means this. Lintu means bird. On is. Suomessa is the inessive case of Suomi, which means Finland. So Suomessa means in Finland. Hyvin here means very. And harvinainen means rare. Again, here we use hyvin in order to modify the adjective harvinainen. So let's repeat again. Tämä lintu on Suomessa hyvin harvinainen. This bird is very rare in Finland. Now we arrived at chapter 2, which is called Hyvä, an adjective meaning good. Now let's get to know its most common case forms. We begin with the basic form, the nominative form, which is simply hyvä. Here's our first example. Tämä elokuva on hyvä means this movie is good. Let's go step by step. Tämä means this. Elokuva means movie, on means is, and hyvä here is our adjective meaning good. So why do we say hyvä here? Hyvä here, which means good, refers to the movie, which is elokuva in Finnish, and since it's standing here in the nominative form, hyvä also has to stay in the same form. So that's why we say hyvä. Let's repeat again. Tämä elokuva on hyvä. This movie is good. Let's take another example. Tämän konsertin pitäisi olla oikein hyvä. Means this concert should be really good. So let's go step by step. Tämän konsertin means this concert. Here we use the genitive case because we are referring to a specific concert. So tämän is the genitive case of tämä, which means this. And konsertin is the genitive case of konsertti, which means concert. Here, by the way, we have the consonant gradation. Pitäisi means should. It's a third person singular present tense conditional mood of pitää. Olla means to be. Oikein really. And hyvä means good. It's our adjective here, and we use it in its basic form because it describes the concert, which should be really good. So let's repeat again. Tämän konsertin pitäisi olla oikein hyvä. This concert should be really good. One more. Ruokakaupassa on huomenna hyvä tarjous. Means in the grocery store there's a good offer tomorrow. Let's go step by step. Ruokakaupassa means in the grocery store. Here we use the inessive case of ruokakauppa. Again, here we have the consonant gradation. On means is. Huomenna means tomorrow. Hyvä, here's our adjective, meaning good. and tarjous means offer. So here we use hyvä in its basic form in order to describe the offer of the grocery store. Let's repeat again. Ruokakaupassa on huomenna hyvä tarjous. In the grocery store, there's a good offer tomorrow. Alright, now let's take a look at hyvän, which is the genitive case of hyvä. Here's our first one. Viime kuussa luin hyvän kirjan. Means last month I read a good book. So let's go step by step. Viime kuussa means last month. Luin is the first person singular past tense of the verb lukea, which means to read. And hyvän kirjan means a good book. So here we are referring to a specific book, which is why we say kirjan here, genitive case of kirja. And therefore our adjective hyvä has also to appear in the genitive case, which is why we say hyvän. Let's repeat again. Viime kuussa luin hyvän kirjan. Last month I read a good book. Next one. Tiedän yhden hyvän baarin tässä lähellä. Literally it means I know one good bar near here. Let's go step by step. Tiedän means I know. It's the first person singular present tense of the verb tietää, which means to know. Yhden is the genitive case of yksi. Here we use, by the way, the genitive case because we are referring to a specific bar. Hyvän is the genitive case of hyvä, which means good. Baarin is the genitive case of baari, which means bar. And tässä lähellä can be understood as near here. Let's repeat again. Tiedän yhden hyvän baarin tässä lähellä. I know one good bar near here. Our next one is hyvää, which is the partitive case of hyvä. Let's begin with an easy one. Kuplaatti on hyvää means bubble tea is good. Kuplaatti means bubble tea. On is and hyvä means good. It's the partitive case of hyvä. Why do we use the partitive case here? Because bubble tea here is mentioned as something that is uncountable. So let's repeat again. Kuplaatti on hyvää. Bubble tea is good. Let's take another example. Minusta korealainen ruoka on tosi hyvää. Means I think Korean food is really good. So let's go step by step. Minusta means in my opinion. Korealainen ruoka means Korean food. On is. Tosi means really or very. And hyvä here means good. Here we use the partitive case. Why? Because food is something that is uncountable. So when we want to describe it with an adjective, we have to use the partitive case, which is why we say hyvä here. Let's repeat again. Minusta korealainen ruoka on tosi hyvää. In my opinion, or I think Korean food is really good. One more. Saan tässä kirjastossa aina hyvää palvelua. Means I always get good service in this library. Let's go step by step. Saan is the first person singular present tense of saada, which means to get. Tässä kirjastossa means in this library. Here we use the inessive case of tämä, which means this, and kirjasto, which means library. Aina means always, and hyvää palvelua means good service. We say hyvä here because palvelu, which means service, is something that is uncountable. When we want to talk about something that is uncountable, then we have to use the partitive case. You recognize it with palvelua, which is the partitive case of palvelu, which means service. So in other words, this also means that the adjective hyvä must match the noun's case. So that's why we say hyvä. Let's repeat again. Saan tässä kirjastossa aina hyvää palvelua. I always get good service in this library. Nice. Let's talk about the ilative case of hyvä, which is hyvään. Here's our first example. Eilen menin hyvään konserttiin. Yesterday I went to a good concert. Let's go step by step. Eilen means yesterday. Menin is the first person singular past tense of the verb mennä, which means to go. Hyvään is the elative case of hyvä, and konserttiin is the elative case of konsertti, which means concert. Remember, elative case means also strong grade for the consonant gradation. So now the question is, why do we say hyvään here? Well, when we want to describe a movement into something, then we have to use the elative case, which is why we say konserttiin. And as we already know, the adjective hyvä must also match its case. So that is why we say hyvään. Elative case of hyvä. So let's repeat again. Eilen menin hyvään konserttiin. Yesterday I went to a good concert. One more. Kohteliaisuus kuuluu hyvään käytökseen. Literally means politeness belongs to good behavior. However, in English we rather say politeness is part of good behavior. Let's go step by step. Kohteliaisuus means politeness. Kuuluu, here's the third person singular present tense of the verb kuulua, which means to belong to. Hyvään, here's the elative case of hyvä, and käytökseen is the elative case of käytös, which means behavior. Again, here we are saying that politeness belongs to good behavior. To what does politeness belong to? To good behavior, elative case. So let's repeat again. Kohteliaisuus kuuluu hyvään käytökseen. Politeness belongs to good behavior. Now let's talk about the inessive case of hyvä, which is hyvässä. Here's our first example. Pablo ja Leena juovat kahvia hyvässä kahvilassa. Means Pablo and Leena are drinking coffee in a good coffee shop. Let's go step by step. Pablo is a Spanish male name. Ja means and. Leena is a Finnish female name. Juovat is the third person plural present tense of the verb juoda, which means to drink. Kahvia, here's the partitive case of kahvi, which means coffee. And hyvässä kahvilassa means in a good coffee shop. Here we use the inessive case. Where do Pablo and Leena drink coffee? In a good coffee shop. So that is why we say hyvässä kahvilassa. Let's repeat again. Pablo ja Leena juovat kahvia hyvässä kahvilassa. Pablo and Leena are drinking coffee in a good coffee shop. One more. Kirjasto on hyvässä kunnossa means the library is in good condition. Let's go step by step. Kirjasto means library, on means is, and hyvässä kunnossa means in good condition. In what condition is the library? In good condition. Hyvässä kunnossa. Let's repeat again. Kirjasto on hyvässä kunnossa. The library is in good condition. Next one is hyvästä, which is the elative case of hyvä. Here's our first example. Pidän hyvästä musiikista means I like good music. So let's go step by step. Pidän means I like. It's the first person singular present tense of the verb pitää, which here means to like. And hyvästä musiikista means good music. Here we use the elative case. Why? Because of the verb pitää, which means to like. Again, the verb pitää requires the object to stand in the elative case. What do I like? I like good music. Pidän hyvästä musiikista. I like good music. Hyvästä is the elative case of hyvä. Let's take another example. Pierre nauttii hyvästä viinistä means Pierre is enjoying good wine. Let's go step by step. Nauttii is the third person singular present tense of nauttia, which means to enjoy, and hyvästä viinistä means good wine. Again, here we use the elative case because of the verb nauttia. Let's repeat again. Pierre nauttii hyvästä viinistä. Pierre enjoys good wine. Next one is hyvällä, which is the allative case of hyvä. Let's take a look at one example. Lähetän pienen yllätyspaketin hyvällä ystävällä means I send a small surprise package to a good friend. Let's go step by step. Lähetän is the first person singular present tense of the verb lähettää, which means to send. So lähetän means I send. Pienen yllätyspaketin means a small surprise package. Here we use the genitive case because we are referring to a specific surprise package. And hyvällä ystävällä means to a good friend. Here we use the allative case because we want to express to whom I send a package. I send it to a good friend, so that's why we use the allative case here. Let's repeat again. Lähetän pienen yllätyspaketin hyvällä ystävällä. I send a small surprise package to a good friend. Next one is hyvällä, which is the adjective case of hyvä. Here's one example. Minun ystäväni on aina ystävällinen ja hyvällä tuulella means my friend is always friendly and in a good mood. Let's go step by step. Minun ystäväni means my friend. On is aina always. Ystävällinen means friendly. Ja and hyvällä tuulella means in a good mood. This, by the way, is a set expression. Hyvällä tuulella means in a good mood. Let's repeat again. Minun ystäväni on aina ystävällinen ja hyvällä tuulella. My friend is always friendly and in a good mood. Our next one is hyvältä, which is the ablative case of hyvä. Kakku maistui hyvältä means the cake tasted good. Let's go step by step. Kakku means cake. Maistui is the third person singular past tense of the verb maistua, which means to taste, and hyvältä means good. It's the ablative case of hyvä. Why do we say hyvältä here? Because of the verb maistua, which requires an ablative case. So again, hyvältä is the ablative case of hyvä. Let's repeat again. Kakku maistui hyvältä. The cake tasted good. Now our next one is hyvät, which is the nominative plural of hyvä. Here's our first example. Kulkuyhteydet Kyotosta Tokioon ovat hyvät means the transport connections from Kyoto to Tokyo are good. Let's go step by step. Kulkuyhteydet means transport connections. Here we use the nominative plural because we are referring to specific transport connections. Its singular form is kulkuyhteys, which means transport connection. Kyotosta is the allative case of Kyoto, which means Kyoto, a city in Japan. Tokioon is the allative case of Tokyo, so Tokyo in English. Ovat is the third person plural present tense of olla, which means to be, and hyvät here is our adjective standing in the nominative plural. Here we have to use hyvät because we want to describe the transport connections, and since they appear in nominative plural, hyvä also has to appear in the nominative plural, which is why we say hyvät. So let's repeat again. Kulkuyhteydet Kyotosta Tokioon ovat hyvät. The transport connections from Kyoto to Tokyo are good. Next one. Sinulla on hyvät mahdollisuudet means you have good opportunities. Let's go step by step. Sinulla on means you have. Hyvät here is our adjective standing in nominative plural, and mahdollisuudet means opportunities, nominative plural. So here we use hyvät because we want to describe the opportunities, and since mahdollisuudet is the T plural form or nominative plural of mahdollisuus, our adjective hyvä must also agree with it in case number, which is why we say hyvät. Let's repeat again. Sinulla on hyvät mahdollisuudet. You have good opportunities. Now we move on to our next chapter, where we are going to talk about the differences between hyvä and hyvin in those classic how are you questions. So, if someone is asking you, mitä kuuluu, then you can for example answer, hyvä, kiitos, or oikein hyvä, kiitos, or you can also say, ei kovin hyvä. So what do we get from this? If someone is asking you how are you using the word mitä, then you always answer with hyvä. Why? Because mitä is the partitive case of mikä, and since mitä is the partitive, our answer also needs to be in the partitive case. So that is why we have to answer with hyvä. So again, if someone is asking you mitä kuuluu, then you can answer with hyvä, kiitos. Now it's a bit different when someone is asking you miten menee, which means how is it going? Here we have to answer in a different way. For example, you can say ihan hyvin kiitos, or if you don't feel that well, you can also say ei kovin hyvin, which means not very well. So here the rule is simple. If someone is asking you how are you using the word miten, then you use the word hyvin in your answer. So in short, mitä kuuluu goes with hyvä, and miten menee goes with hyvin. Now we arrived at our last chapter for today, the exercises. Here's our first one. Fill in the gap. We wanna say I can speak Korean fairly well. Osaan puhua koreaa melko. What do we need here? Hyvä, hyvää, or hyvin. For this task we have 5 seconds. Excellent. The answer is hyvin. Osaan puhua koreaa melko hyvin. I can speak Korean fairly well. Next one. We wanna say I know one good bar near here. Tiedän yhtään baarin tässä lähellä. Do we need here hyvä, hyvän, or hyvin? That's right, the answer is hyvän. Tiedän yhtään hyvän baarin tässä lähellä. I know one good bar near here. Next one. We wanna say politeness is part of good behavior, or literally politeness belongs to good behavior. Kohteliaisuus kuuluu käytökseen. What do we need here? Is it hyvän, hyvän, or hyvä? That's right, the answer is hyvään, ilative case. Kohteliaisuus kuuluu hyvään käytökseen. Politeness is part of good behavior. Next one. We wanna say the library is in good condition. Kirjasto on kunnossa. Do we need here hyvin, hyvässä, or hyvää? That's right, the answer is hyvässä. Kirjasto on hyvässä kunnossa. The library is in good condition. Next one. We wanna say I like good music. Pidän musiikista. What do we need here? Is it hyvältä, hyvästä, or hyvää? So good! The answer is hyvästä. Pidän hyvästä musiikista. I like good music. Next one. We wanna say my friend is always friendly and in a good mood. Minun ystäväni on aina ystävällinen ja tuulella. What do we need here? That's right, the answer is hyvällä. Minun ystäväni on aina ystävällinen ja hyvällä tuulella. A friend is always friendly and in a good mood. Next one, we wanna say the cake tasted good. Can you translate it into Finnish? Perfect. The answer is kakku maistui hyvältä. The cake tasted good. Next one. We wanna say the transport connections from Kyoto to Tokyo are good. Can you translate it into Finnish? That's right, the answer is kulkuyhteydet Kiotosta Tokioon ovat hyvät. The transport connections from Kyoto to Tokyo are good. Next one, we wanna say, I think Korean food is really good. Minusta korealainen ruoka on tosi. Do we need here hyvä, hyvää, or hyvin? That's right, the answer is hyvää. Minusta korealainen ruoka on tosi hyvää. I think Korean food is really good. And our last one, someone is asking you, mitä kuuluu? How can you answer? Do you say hyvä kiitos or do you say hyvin kiitos? That's right, you say hyvä kiitos. Why? Because the question includes the partitive case. That's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you want to learn more Finnish, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day and see you next time.